Good evening.
Woo!
Hello, Vested community. It is
What's up, Vested?
Damien here. Jamar right there.
What's up, Coach D?
Guess what? Tonight, we're going to inspire. We're going to create. Whoa. We're going to inspire, create, and empower.
Hey, man.
I was all stuck in there for a second. Came out.
Hey, we're in daylight savings time, man. It's spring forward. It's like today still, right?
I don't get it. It's cool, I guess. It's light. It's light. I'm ready, Jamar. That's it. Yeah. We just got to be ready, right?
Absolutely, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I was just saying before the show that I got a lot of different projects that I put some energy into, and right now is the time where the cream's starting to rise to the top, and I gotta pick which ones I gotta put a lot of effort into, and it's time to bear fruit, man. We gotta tend to it though, and make sure that we keep doing what we're doing.
Man, that's the thing, is that we can be busy but not be productive, and I think that we sometimes as people we confuse ourselves because we're being busy, but then is it leading to productivity? And we always get to choose, hey, where do we really want to invest our time? So the fact that you're pruning the tree right now, the opportunities to invest your time, that's a powerful place to be,
Well, tonight, Jamar, we got a pretty exciting guest. He's a friend of mine, and you talk about investing time, and we don't really know sometimes where to invest our time because we're trying to figure out what's best. But some of us that have dreams know exactly where to invest our time. And as a matter of fact, it's kind of the opposite. It's figure out how to get everything else out of the picture so that we can just focus on this. Now, what happens when you're focusing on something that much and you experience failure or you experience rejection or somebody tells you no? What do you do? What do you do?
No.
We get to interview a good friend of mine who has experience being at the very, very top of his game, being a champion as a football player, and he's also experienced other things that weren't so desirable, or he wasn't number one. He had to climb himself up from the bottom. So I think a lot of people right now in the Vested community and just in the community period are experiencing some things that are difficult to get through. And if we have dreams or ideas or whatever it is, we got to understand that it's going to come with a little bit of resistance. So I want to bring on my buddy, Johnny Stantons. He is currently a fullback for the Cleveland Browns. He just finished up his first season as the Cleveland Brown that he is, and he's going back into his second season with them this upcoming year. And Jamar, I'm excited, man. What do you think? You're a football fan. Talk to me a little bit about what you know of Johnny so far.
Man, I'm grateful that he's here. If you think about what we stand for here in Vested Community is appreciating all those other people in the world who are shining light. It doesn't matter what business, what career, what sport they play. There are other people out there that are shining light. Man, that's who I like to connect to, and just the things that you told me about him, and the time I got to meet him, and the pre-show. I could just feel that he has a great spirit and great dude. So I'm excited to watch you dissect him down on the emotional side.
Every once in a while when I try to lighten up again, you come and Jamar's got him good too.
Yeah.
Okay,
we're good though.
So let's bring him on. This is my friend Johnny Stantons, the Cleveland Brown.
Johnny!
Thank you very much for joining us, Johnny. Welcome to the Vested community. This is my friend Jamar. We are going to talk tonight about how you refuse to accept no, and the fact that it is just not an option for you. Currently, our Vested community is going through a lot, and we understand that you've experienced some success and some other stuff. So welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just enjoying my off season and, trying to be a better athlete, be a better person, just trying to grow,
Nice. Well, Jamar, we inspire, create, and inspire. Oh, I did it again. We inspire, create, and empower. We inspire, create, and empower.
Come on.
We inspire, create, and empower. There it is.
Come on.
We inspire, create, and empower on this show. So why don't we get it started? Shall we inspire? This is the fun part, Johnny. This is where I get to get you with questions that I didn't tell you I was going to ask you that are hopefully going to poke you in a vulnerable spot, and you're going to just spill all of this. So,
awesome.
hey, Johnny, if you start sweating, bro, we got you. We can see those bullets coming down, man. So I hope you wear some deodorant, man.
He's ready. He's probably hydrated. Jamar, he's a professional.
It's a good thing we're over Zoom. We might be smelling some VO.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah. All right, anyway, man. So let's start real simple. Orange County, Catholic high school. What inspired Johnny Stanton to become Johnny Stanton? You're an athlete, you're a Catholic school guy, you're a brother, you're a son. Talk to me about building this dream.
Well, you say becoming Johnny Stanton, like I had my own, people that I tried to follow in their footsteps. I had my own people that I looked up to. We talked in the past, Carson Palmer was a guy that I looked up to, another guy who, alumnus of our high school. He was the quarterback that everybody who went to Santa Margarita tried to, emulate. And that's who I wanted to try to be. I wanted to be like, the guys in college that I, admired, Reggie Bushes of the world, the Matt Leinerts. I was a USC fan growing up. So, those are the guys that I looked up to, the guys that I wanted to play like. Honestly, it just took, it's no secret, it just took a lot of work, a lot of, the whole reason why I'm here today is perseverance. So I guess it took a lot of perseverance. It's step by step. If you told me in high school that I'd be a D1 football player, go back to junior college, become a D1 football player again, and then have a chance of joining a football team, joining the NFL.
We're not in Korea yet. We're not in Korea.
I
don't need to step on toes, bro, but we're gonna get into that. I really
don't worry about keeping me from going any further.
I need to know the person before he puts on his helmet. I need to understand the type of guy, like you said, becoming Johnny Stanton. Like first you're just Johnny, and you go to high school and you go to class, but then after class you put on the helmet and you become a leader in XYZ, right? So things are going well in high school. You're now a junior. You've got yourself just a stacked offensive line. You got an incredible schedule, incredible coach, and you go on in there and you win a state title. Okay, so here you are, the champion. You're the man. Everybody's looking at you. Okay. Now, what people might or might not know about my friend Johnny is when he came into his senior year, this team was all everything, and they were expected to repeat. I think you guys were up there in the nation in terms of the rankings, and I think it was game 3. Was it 3? That Johnny had a season-ending injury. 5?
Yep. Okay.
Game 5. So we're talking like halfway through the season, which is what, a game before league starts. Things are going real well. I think you guys are 4-0. You're going off. And then you get hurt. And it's not a little hurt. It's like all your boys that you just won state titles with and guys that you sent scholarships with. Now the leader is on the sideline on crutches, and that's it for you. Explain to the Vested community what you're feeling then. How do you manage the excitement of your future with the uncertainty of the now?
Wow.
Yeah. So I ended up tearing my ACL game 5. We're number 1 in the nation at the time. We'd really just started hitting our stride. So that was, obviously really frustrating. I didn't know what was going to happen. At that point I was committed to University of Nebraska. I didn't know if they were going to pull my scholarship. I didn't know if that was a thing. I ended up finding out that, the team has had, ACL injuries in the past, so it's not a huge deal. But, at that point, it was just up to me. It was up to the belief in myself that I needed to get back to where I was. And, the only person who was going to stop it was me. So I worked every day at physical therapy. I made sure that I, was focused for it, that it was my number 1 priority. I had a whole lot more free time than I normally had. So I was able to, find other interests and stuff, but it was that was my number 1 priority, was becoming healthy again. And then, came kind of my second semester of senior year when I'm kind of back into it. The football season's over. I'm not really the guy on the sideline who's trying to hype up my teammates anymore. I kind of just still have to go to physical therapy. And now I'm just waiting for, waiting for signing day and then to go to Nebraska and all that. So at that point, I kind of really had to struggle with my identity. it's going to happen at some point where I'm not going to be able to be a football player anymore, which has been a huge part of my identity my whole life. And that first injury was kind of a taste of what my life is outside of football, and how do I identify myself, and what kind of label do I give myself? Which, I still struggle with. So, just dealing with all that stuff for the first time was a major struggle. But the work never really stopped.
Johnny,
Wow.
how did you lead from that place of uncertainty? So you're injured and you have your own personal future, but when you have this, everyone's looking at you. How do you lead from there?
Honestly, I wish I could have done a better job of it. I was a guy who wasn't always the most vocal leader, but I always wanted to be. I don't really know that I knew that I had it in me, but I didn't really know how to get it out. I always worried that I was going to come off corny, or if I was going to, not know the right words to say. But it always came out through my work. It always came out in getting guys to come work with me, which was the best way for me to get guys to work with me and to become a leader for the team. And obviously that it doesn't happen once I'm on the sidelines. And at that point, I think the best way that I could be a leader without being the super vocal, charismatic leader that, I wanted to be, it really came out in being there for the guys. I didn't need to be there every day at practice, but I did my best too. And, I had physical therapy after practice, so that kept me at physical therapy until like 8 p.m. All of that, was stuff that I wish that I could have done better at. There are practices that I wish I could have gone to that I didn't get to go to because of physical therapy. There are speeches I wish hours later or days later in my head, I'm thinking like, oh man, this would have been perfect to say to the guys. Or if I was a different kind of leader or a different kind of guy, I wish I could have inspired them to do blah, blah, blah. But, thinking back on it, it's tough to really blame myself because I was a high school kid. I was a senior. I had my first interview like the year before, and I look back on it with dread and so much embarrassment because I was hemming and hawing the whole time. I didn't know what to say. So, I try not to.
Let's see.
What's that?
This guy? You're talking about that guy. There he is.
Yeah, that guy didn't know how to do an interview at all.
Bro, so you're saying you had you were like Ray Lewis a little bit. Here's what you're saying. You had a Ray Lewis leadership.
No, definitely not. Ray Lewis is much better in front of a mic than I am.
I'm just kidding.
We had another Santa Margarita NFL football player literally say the exact same thing on this show, that they weren't exactly a vocal leader. And champions, Jamar, I've noticed, feel like they've never done enough. Whether they win or lose, they look back and they say, I just wish I could have done better. It's relentless commitment to a better you. And a better you is a better leader. A better leader is a better team. So to constantly push and to just never take your foot off the gas, I think that's a lot of what I've seen you do, Johnny, and one of the things that's inspired me to follow your career. So, Jamar, you got anything to fire my guy?
I got a question though, because you're talking about the external inspiration, and what about people close to you? Friends or family, loved ones, parents. Who in your family gave you that inspiration or that support to be amazing, man, to keep going, to strive to be that leader by example? Anyone in your family?
Get him, Jamar.
Yeah, I had an incredible support system in my own family. My parents always wanted me to be the best, number one best person I could be. But, they really put in the time and effort and, the money to be able to help me find the best coaching, to be able to put in that time and do the extra work. And they were always pushing me to do it. When I was a kid, I hated practice. I hated going to practice. I get frustrated that, it was happening every day. And not even at that point, this happened like every other day. And thinking about it now, I remember thinking about it even when I got to high school, that we practice every day now. It's a 6 days out of the 7 days of the week. You're playing football. And I enjoyed practice so much more at that point. and which I wish I told my parents this, but I wish I could have told myself as a kid, like, you're going to, practice is when you're going to have your best memories, when you're going to really enjoy your time with your teammates, when you get to know each other, when you develop relationships, that all happens at practice. And I wish I could have told my younger self that.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, honestly, I owe a lot of that to my parents and that support system that I was able to get from them.
Man,
that's what we're doing here. We're telling all the younger selves of the future these types of things,
Yeah.
so that they understand that when they see you with a NFL uniform on, all the things that go with it. So, Jamar, I mean, what do you think? I think a lot of these elements of inspiration are moving towards creation. Well, I think we should just
man. Let's just create, bro. Let's create. That's what we do.
All right, Johnny, let's get into the muddy water of your dreams. Like you said, once you had the injury, your senior year in high school, they still honored your scholarship. And gosh, I mean, Tim Tebow reached out. You had a lot of hype coming out of high school. I mean, you really put up a lot of numbers. And not only that, like you and I were kind of talking about, you understood who you were as the leader, as Johnny Stantons, as a Catholic kid coming out of a private school, going to Nebraska. So you get there. Talk to me about the creation of the NFL football player you are today, because it was a rocky road. Talk to me. Let's start in Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, I can probably count on one hand the amount of snaps that I took at Nebraska. I was like a 4-star recruit going in. I remember doing a photo shoot my senior year when I was still recovering from my knee injury to be on the cover of like a recruiting magazine. And if I, it's not that if I knew then what I know now and that I wasn't going to stick around there, that I wasn't really going to become the guy everybody hoped I was going to be, I wouldn't tell that kid not to do all that stuff. But I do wish that I would have tempered my expectations a little bit more, which I think would have allowed myself to get into the mindset that I needed to get to, and which I don't think I necessarily ever got. It's really hard to come back from an injury. You can have workouts and you can think that you're, back to 100%, but until you get into a game, until you, have that really full speed practice where you're getting, taking the same hits that injured you the first time, you don't know until you know that you're back to normal. So when I was at Nebraska, I was, I got garbage time against like Southern Miss and I think Fresno State. And then that was my Nebraska career. When I was leaving there, I remember talking to the coaches. At that point, it became Mike Riley after Bo Pelini ended up going somewhere else. And talking to the offensive coaches on Coach Riley's staff, they told me like, hey, we only have 105 spots for fall camp, and we're going to give it to some guys who don't have scholarships, and you're not going to be one of those guys who get to go to fall camp. So that was heartbreaking. And that was basically them telling me like, hey, we'd prefer to use your scholarship for somebody else, without saying that, because they're not allowed to say that. So at that point I was kind of desperate. Like I was trying to figure out, like, am I okay if I never play another snap of football here? Am I okay if I want to try to play another position? I asked the coaches like, hey, like, do you think I'd be, good at fullback? Is that something that would increase your guys's, not fullback, tight end? Is that something that would increase my chances to get on the field? And they kind of weren't really having any of it. So then that's when I realized like, okay, I'm not really welcome here. I'm going to go. And the leaving process was tough as well. Like trying to figure out what school I was going to go to.
Wow.
Okay, so let's fast forward just a little bit. I mean, I'm going to let the vested community give some cliff notes. So you end up going home, you transfer to a junior college, and here you are back at quarterback at a junior college, about 2 or 3 games into the season, and things aren't going great. You're the starting quarterback, but you don't necessarily have a great relationship with everybody yet because you kind of just got in there, and things with the coaches, it's a different system and you're still learning. And I think it was the first half you didn't play real good, and then about halftime, I mean, you came up in the second half, or maybe it was the first half, and you just went off. And from that point, you're at junior college and you're going off, but you're looking in the stands and there's like 100 people. So tell me what it felt like, first of all, to deal with the discomfort of figuring out where you're going to play, becoming a quarterback again, learning a new system, and then talk to me about the rise of going to the state championship game.
Yeah, leaving Nebraska, I had the opportunity to go to Division I AA, Division II schools on full scholarship, and it would have been a great opportunity for me to play football, for me to have fun playing the game again. But I knew that my ultimate dream was to get to the highest level of football, and I knew that my chances of doing that were much better at the Division I level than they were at the Division II level, which if I was going to transfer, I would have to go to junior college again. So I ended up going to Saddleback. Sorry, my girlfriend's in the background.
It's okay.
Hi.
Hi.
This is how it goes, man. We got dogs.
Hey, Maddie.
Yeah. We grandfathers, all kind of stuff.
Yeah, so when I ended up at Saddleback, like you said, I got there late in the summer. All the guys had already been doing a lot of workouts, and I kind of show up, and there are 3 other guys fighting for the quarterback job, and I need to insert myself there, and it was definitely not given to me. Not just given to me. I ended up winning it near the end of the summer, on a much closer margin than I wish I would have been able to. But it was my first and second game, we lost, and I didn't play that great. So when we started our third game, I was told by our head coach, like, hey, just so you know, you're going to start the first half, and if things don't go our way, we're probably going to put in the other guy. And it was so nonchalant and so matter of fact. And I just okay, thanks, thanks for the heads up, I guess.
Love the confidence.
And you didn't get the chance to be able to go in the second half because we ended up kind of demolishing the other team. And it was my first time really being able to enjoy dominating another team for the first time in 3 years.
Okay, Chen,
wow.
Say this, Jamar. You know how this goes. He went off like stupid. And not just that game, the rest of the season, and they played in the state title game, and he even went off the state title game. So,
wow.
Let's fast forward real quick because I got to get to the empowerment part because you are a football player, Johnny. But you know what? I'm more impressed by the person that you are, and it's the person that I got to dig out of this helmet, and we got to get to the fun part yet. So you transfer from junior college to UNLV. You end up playing a couple of games there. I'll let you kind of talk about it. And then things don't exactly go the way again. And then where you're at. Just briefly give me through what happens when now you got another full ride scholarship. You're back to Division I real quick.
Yeah, end up over UNLV. And again, I narrowly win the starting quarterback job. And first game goes great. Threw three touchdowns in the first half and get pulled in the second half just because give the backup some snaps. And game 2, 3, 4, we end up losing. And game 4, I end up tearing my knee. My other knee, not as bad as ACL, but it was still, really tough. And what it ended up being was a season-ending injury. Didn't need surgery on it. Had a tough time trying to fight back. But that's the toughest thing is, I think honestly that was one of my toughest injuries having to get through because I was being told by different things by different doctors that you might be able to come back this season, you might not. You'll have to wear a brace, you might not have to wear a brace. And having being told that there's a chance you can play this year and not actually getting to play because you're not feeling like at the top of your game, you're not feeling like you can help the team in the state that you're in was a really tough thing. But yeah, if we're fast forwarding further, my senior year, I'm fully healthy, but I don't get the starting quarterback job. After 2 games, I go to the head coach and say, hey, can I play some special teams? End up getting into special teams games. Linebacker coach asked me if I can play some linebacker. I play some games at linebacker. I finally get my opportunity to play some quarterback again. I end up going 2-1, beating a highly ranked Fresno State team, which is, probably my proudest moment in college football, my 7 games as starting quarterback. So, it was rocky road up and down a lot. But and it was an emotional struggle through the whole thing. Mm-hmm. I remember, having one post-practice one day in the spring of my senior year. And I was, wow. I remember having a bad practice. I think I threw a pick or something, probably late in practice. And I was so frustrated and so convinced that it wasn't my job to win anymore. But I ended up being right. But I was so frustrated that I just parked in the parking lot and started crying. Like I didn't, I was thinking like, all right, well, my senior year is going to suck because I'm not going to get on the field. And honestly, I probably wouldn't have, not that much at least, because unless I did what I did and talked to the coach to humble myself. And that was really,
Wow.
it was, that's, there's a reason why, the reason why, guys like Tim Tebow didn't, change positions is because the quarterback position has so much pride associated with it. You're the leader of the team. You have the ball in your hands. You control the game, but giving that power up is a tough thing to do. And I decided that like this is the best thing overall for me because I think that I'm a football player more than I am a quarterback.
Man, that's powerful. I got a question for you, man, because you've been told no by coaches. You've been told no by the position you're going to play. You've been told no by injury, right? You've been having these setbacks and challenges and adversity, but you've been able to pivot and keep going. From a spiritual point, what are some of the things that help keep you grounded? What do you believe? Some people believe in the universe. Some people believe in energy. Some people believe in God. What's your faith system, and how did that play a role when you're going through these different challenges of fear, doubt, and temporary defeat?
Yeah, I prayed a lot, and it reminds me of the that line in Rudy where he's sitting in the church, and the priest ends up coming next to him. He says, maybe I'm just not praying enough, and he says, well, maybe that's probably not it. And that definitely stuck with me. I know that's not all it is, because it does come down to your own passion for it and your own ability to execute. And when that wasn't there, I was trying to rely, the only reason why I was able to get through it was being able to rely on my faith, being able to rely on the personal growth that I made when I wasn't able to play football, back in high school. And that I think has a lot to do with the reason why I'm still able to play now, because, like I said, I had to deal with my own sense of identity. And even though I did realize there are things that I enjoy outside of football, which I always knew before, but different ways for me to identify myself and to find labels for myself, even though they're not necessarily all encompassing, allowed me to realize that football player still belongs in that list, and it is very close, if not at the very top.
Wow.
And that's what allowed me to really reevaluate when things aren't going my way, whether it's injury, whether it's losing a starting job, really allows me to take a step back, reevaluate, and realize that I still want to keep doing this.
Man, the desire, bro, fire right there, right?
I think we have all the elements we need to move towards empowerment.
Yeah, let's go, man. Come on. Man, that was on point, Johnny.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's what we do before we empower. So, Johnny, it didn't pan out the way you saw it in your head. It didn't pan out the way you thought it would when you took that picture coming out of high school. But it did pan out. And you didn't take the freeway. You paved your own dirt road. But somehow you made it into the NFL. Now, your willingness to humble yourself, your willingness to not give up, it puts you in a Minnesota Vikings uniform. Walk me through that process. So you're no longer a quarterback. You now have your shot in the NFL. How exciting. Talk to me about this.
I think being able to get to that point was one of the best feelings. I had a moment that, I'm not drafted. I'm not an undrafted free agent. We're in the terms of being signed right after school, right after the draft. I was a guy who had to try out for my position, at a position that I'd never played before. I switched from quarterback to start working at tight end. That's when Minnesota called. I tried out, and I end up getting an opportunity to join the team. But what they told me was after that rookie minicamp, like the 3 days where they bring in all the guys that they drafted, all the guys they signed, and a whole bunch of guys to try out for the team. They come up to me at the end of that day, at the end of that last day, and say, "Hey, we want you to stay for another day to have a physical." And I'm thinking, okay, that's got to be good news. I wonder how many they're doing that for. And it ended up just being 4 guys, including me. So I'm thinking, okay, that could be really good. Go through the physical the next morning, and I end up signing a contract. And my first call was to my parents, and obviously they knew that I was staying another day, and they were asking like, okay, like they immediately start going into questions, and they say like, okay, how'd the physical go? Like, did they give you any other news? Blah blah blah. And I say, guys, calm down. I'm a Minnesota Viking. And they all started going crazy. And it was, the exact, it was the exact response that I was hoping for. It was a great feeling. And that's when hours later on Twitter, I find out that I'm a fullback, not tight end. So it was a roller coaster of a day.
Oh man.
Well, cool.
Hey, don't panic, pivot. Don't panic, pivot.
Hold on. There's more.
Exactly.
Keep going, Johnny. It wasn't all roses. Come on.
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't. So going to OTAs like a week later, I still had to graduate from school and have all my finals. And I try to learn the fullback position as best I can. A lot of those pictures definitely aren't like they look like me, but they're not me. 44, they're definitely not me. No, but 48 right there is good. Yeah, you're good.
I'm not trying to on the show.
I'm not trying to put you on blast. I'm like, no, that kind of looks like me, but it's not my
Hey, Johnny,
I got it.
Johnny, you're not that brother number 11. That's not you.
Oh, I wish.
He went to his speed camp and has 0.
Treadwell was like was a top draft pick. Yeah.
I know.
So yeah, I spent that whole summer trying to learn how to play fullback. From my running back coach, the fullback in front of me, Mike Carney, who's a fullback who lives in my neighborhood, and it's like how much more perfect could it be? Because when I went home after OTAs, I got to work with him, so that was huge. But then second game of preseason, finally have a play that I'm really proud of. I remember thinking about this during the play and thinking like, stretch to the right, fullback lead. And I'm blocking the outside linebacker, and I'm like, oh man, I'm driving him back. Like, we're 10 yards down the field right now. And the backside linebacker tries to tackle the running back from behind, and whips around, and his butt lands right on my ankle and just snaps it. And I remember thinking I'm laying on the ground. I'm like, okay, a lot of athletes have that feeling of you're on the ground, you don't know if something's wrong or not. You can feel something is like either numb or kind of a shock value, and you kind of sit there for a second and kind of evaluate your body and think, okay, am I okay or not? And I immediately I knew okay, my ankle's not okay, and I looked down and it's facing the wrong way, and I'm I'm immediately thinking why now? That was my first thought. Like, why at this point?
Really?
I get they reset my ankle. They got you saw the picture. I got carted off the field over to the X-ray machine, and they found out I was broken. Just like we thought it was. The team. What was great was the team ended up allowing me to stay on roster as injured reserve rather than giving me a cut and cutting me and then giving me a settlement. It ended up being basically the same thing, except the fact that I get to call myself a Viking for the whole year, which was a great feeling to be able to have that opportunity, just to be able to have that length of time to go through rehab, knowing that I'm still a part of a team. So yeah, I mean, that's the most recent in the number of injury struggles that I've had, but I'm very proud. I went through all of last year without an injury, so I was happy about that.
Well, it's a guarantee. You play football that you're going to get injured. So, real quick, Johnny, we brought a few pictures up, kind of like they do in a few of the other popular podcast talk shows, and we kind of want you to just walk us through it. Explain to me this first picture This is when you were a Viking, of when you're with a high school buddy. What did this feel like? Okay, so I don't know, is this before you're injured, after you're injured? But I mean, here you are with a high school buddy experiencing your dreams in an NFL thing. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, so here I am with River Craycraft. He was my high school receiver. We were in the same class. He was my best friend in high school. Still is. I still hang out, see him every week. And there he is in his second preseason. Actually, I don't forget if it's second preseason, but basically second season with the Broncos. And I'm having my first preseason with the Vikings. And River was on practice squad that first year. And this is the first game that he's playing in, and this is the first game I'm playing in. And I got very few snaps. I think I got maybe 3 snaps at fullback. I think I had 2 plays on kickoff, and it was both of them were touchbacks. But I got to be on the field with him at the same time, because one of those touchbacks were what he was the returner for. And we were able to get that picture. He looks all pissed off because we ended up winning that game. But it was it was really symbolic and satisfying culmination of both of our, not culmination because it's still happening. He's in the league. I'm still in the league. But it was a great feeling to have both of our both of our journeys come to that point.
Wow. Okay, now go ahead, Jamar. Sorry.
I got a question, because you just made an interesting statement around here. Hey, we're both in the league now, right? Can you just touch on, to the community, vested community, what is the mindset once you actually do arrive at that goal, that destination? Is the game over there, or is that when the game starts? Like, how do you explain it when you're there and you need to stay there? Like, what type of frequency and vibration is that?
There's an old adage, and it's a cliche now, that making it to the league is hard, staying in the league is harder. The average NFL contract is the average NFL lifespan, basically career span, is less than 3 years. And if you count 2019, in which I was on a team for 2 weeks on practice squad, and if this last year was considered my 3rd year, then I have already gotten past that. And I know that every single year I'm in the league, the more expensive I get, and the less expensive, and it's a less expensive option to have somebody else on the team. So I know that staying in the league right now is a very hard thing to do, and that's why I'm trying to go through different things. I'm trying to be the best overall football player that I can be, and that means trying to learn how to long snap so I can be an emergency long snapper. Being the guy on scout team defense when we're short guys due to injury or roster moves or whatever. It's a thing that I've tried to do my whole career, especially once I moved away from quarterback, but develop a whole lot of skills so that, it's another old adage is the more you can do, the more valuable you are to a team. So if I am a fullback, right now I'm a backup fullback. If I'm a backup fullback, I might be one of the next guys to get cut. But if it comes down to me or somebody else, and I know how to long snap and can be a backup long snapper in case, if the case may be, then they might decide on the other guy to cut. So that's my hope.
Wow.
Okay, look, we haven't. He's vested community. He's not a Viking. We haven't talked about how he became a Cleveland Brown, because all of the things that he just talked about are exactly what gets you an opportunity like that. But sometimes it might not be a straight line. So you have to make yourself available to be your best self. But at the same time, what happened after you hurt your ankle?
So the next, from August when I got hurt to mid to late January, I was a Viking. They ended up calling me in January after their season was over, and I said, like, hey, we're doing exit physicals for the whole team. We'd love to get a physical for you right now if you think that you can pass one. And at this point in physical therapy, I'm jogging, I'm running a little bit. I'm still learning how to cut again. It's a crazy thing, and people have talked about it before, but when you have an ankle, when you have a knee injury, you have to relearn how to walk. So I was at the point where I had already relearned how to walk. Right now I'm trying to cut again, really plant my foot and turn directions. I'm thinking, passing a physical is nothing. You pass a physical, they check to see if your bones are in, working order. And at this point, my bone is fully healed. I'm just trying to build up the muscle again. So I go through the physical over in Minnesota, and they say, okay, you're good. And like a week or two later, they call me up and say, "Hey, we're going to cut you now." And I realized that, I can't be cut if I'm on injured reserve. They were, whether that was exactly what is happening or not, I don't know, but they end up cutting me after I got cleared. So then not only am I not on a team anymore, I'm also not getting, like the insurance money going towards my physical therapy because I got cleared, which obviously is a rookie mistake. So at this point, and for the next 10 months, I'm not on a team.
Wow.
I'm doing everything I can to be on an NFL roster again. I'm going back to UNLV for Pro Day to show that I'm healthy again. I'm doing a third-party combine in the city of Baltimore. I flew all the way across the country to do it, just to get in front of some kind of scouts. And finally, I do end up catching the attention of some XFL scouts. And the XFL calls me and says, "Hey, we'd love for you to do our combine." And I do fairly well in the combine when they came to LA. So then at that point, it's just another waiting game. I'm kind of just waiting around and for the XFL draft to happen in, I think, late September, early October. And in the meantime, that's when I end up officially meeting Damien when I take a job as a freshman football coach with Santa Margarita, bringing it back to where it started, which was an awesome opportunity. And I took that opportunity to put on cleats and run around with the kids and try to stay in shape, basically. So, over the next couple months, I end up getting drafted by the XFL, by the LA Wildcats. Right after I get drafted, I get a call from Minnesota saying, "Hey, we'd love for you to come up and try out for our practice squad again." So I say, I'm kind of thinking, like, am I allowed to do it? Because XFL has rights to me now, but I haven't signed any contract. And I talked to the team, and they're letting me go do it, which was awesome. They're super supportive of me. So I ended up going back up to Minnesota. I make the team. I'm on practice squad. They end up cutting me for an injury. Like, they're trying to get another guy on the practice squad because of injury stuff. So that was my 2 weeks in the NFL that year. And I end up going back to the XFL after a couple of more workouts. But then, that didn't go all that great because when I get into training camp, end up bruising my heel. I end up getting the flu for a couple weeks, and I only get in like 3 practices before I end up getting cut. And that was just horrible luck. But the great luck, the really good luck part of that was that I got called by the Browns like 2 days before I got cut. And I told them, like, they asked me to come in to get signed. Like all I needed to do was pass the physical. And I said, I can't right now. I'm under contract and there's nothing I could do about it. So getting cut was a little bit of a blessing in disguise because otherwise, I'd have NFL teams who already wanted me, but I wasn't available. So I ended up flying up to Cleveland. And I'm flying up to Cleveland. Physical goes well, and I'm a Cleveland Brown within like a couple of days. So it was that was the beginning of 2021. Or sorry, 2020. And been a Brown ever since.
Come on, baby.
Woo! Hey, Jamar. And we had do you remember having this conversation, Johnny? Just for fun. I was like, bro, you are one serious cold away from being the starting running back from the Cleveland Browns. And then I get a text message. What was it? What week was it? It was 8. I get a text message.
I should memorize that now. I don't know. We were playing the Eagles. Yeah.
That's powerful, man.
Guess who's starting this week for the Browns at fullback? I was like, no way. I'm going to put the next picture up. And I want you to realize that since we showed that first picture when you were a little kid, you manifest this, bro. You made your decision and you made it happen. So when we put this next picture up, I want you to manifest what's going to happen with your life in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years and share it with the whole Vested community. Show them how it's done.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's me running out to a very rainy day in Cleveland, very rainy Sunday. That was, like you said, I think it was about week 8, playing the Eagles. That Monday after, I forget who we played. We had, usually at that point in the season, we were going in for testing. We get news of like, hey, this is when your lift time is for after the game. Blah, blah, blah. This is when meeting times are, all that. And lift was canceled that morning. And usually we knew what that meant. There would be somebody tested positive for COVID, and they have to make sure that they go over the tape and see who was near that person who was sick and wipe down everything. So I texted my buddy Andy, who's the starting fullback, and we oftentimes text during, before and during these meetings. And I said, hey, I missed like the first minute of a meeting. What do they talk about? And he said, oh, somebody tested positive. It was me. And my heart immediately starts going. I'm like, okay, like, does this mean I'm finally going to get my shot? And obviously it did. I got to suit up for that Sunday and made a whole lot of mistakes. But I got a lot of experience, and I'm, excited to put that experience into practice and hopefully a preseason this year.
Okay. Hold on. Manifest it, Johnny. This isn't an accident. Yeah. You're not in a pro football uniform on accident. Share with the Vested community what got you there and what's going to help continue Johnny to be Johnny. Because like you said, one day the helmet comes off, and it might be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. You're lucky to be where you're at right now. Manifest it. What do you want out of these next couple of years, man? Where are you going to take your life, your dreams?
Long-term goal is to be a long tenured member of a team. I think the coolest thing is, growing up, I loved the guys. I was a huge Dodger fan growing up. I loved the guys who were Dodgers for like 5, 6, 7, 8 years, who were on the same team for a long time. And I know I don't have a lot of control over that, but getting put in the right situation with the right coach and doing a really stable, consistent job, that's what I want to do. That's all I'm asked of at fullback, to be, I'm not Odell, I'm not Jarvis, I'm not Nick Chubb. I'm not the playmaker for the team once I'm, now that I'm a fullback. I'm asked to do a very consistent, powerful job, and to do it well. And that's what I want to get to. And honestly, I'm bigger on the short-term goals. So for me, that is getting to the preseason with the Browns, or with any team who will have me, but the Browns, 100%. It's to stay healthy. It's making sure that my workout tomorrow, that I'm doing the best I can, that I get in running routes tomorrow. Those short-term goals are really what drive me forward, especially in the off season when your goals aren't so concrete. You're not like, okay, I want to do the best I can in today's practice, and after that, I want to do the best I can in tomorrow's practice. And this week, I want to make sure that I learn everything about their defense, and I want to have the best game I can on Sunday. In the off season, it's all about, I want to destroy this next workout, and then the day after that, I want to do the same thing tomorrow. And at the whole time, you're trying to stay healthy, which is a hard thing to do a lot of times in the off season. So those short-term goals are really what I try to keep updating. But being that guy for a team for a long time would be my ultimate dream.
Wow.
You heard
it.
Hey,
man, I'm just going to say a quick prayer real quick. Thank you, God, for your hedge of protection, your armor over Brother Johnny, and give him supernatural power to dominate his position. Amen. Like, we just go straight there to the throne, bro.
Appreciate it. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Man. Wow. And Vested community, if you haven't heard it today, I think this is, I would say, out of all the shows we've had up until this moment, Brother Johnny, you are someone who exemplifies what it means to be vested in your belief, to be vested in your goal, to be vested in your dream. And I just want to say thank you, man, for being here today and talking about your story, your journey, your path. And we don't always understand why things happen. We don't always know why things happen, but we must believe that all things are happening for our greater good. And you're a testament to that, man. So I just want to say thank you for your time, effort, and energy today.
Well, I really appreciate you guys having me on. Being totally invested and totally vested into my dream of becoming a football player is the only way that I was able to do it. So I really felt like, I'm in little things. I feel like I'm a good multitasker. Maddie's told me before, like, I can do stuff with listening to music, listen to a podcast, writing, stuff like that. I think in putting in my whole effort into something, I felt like once I became only a football player, I put my whole effort into it, and I can still have these, hobbies and passions outside of football. but when it becomes a serious, go time and it's priorities, I feel like I'm really able to thrive at that point. So, being totally vested is what I'm all about.
Man.
Well, before we wrap it up here, Jamar, I wanted, you believe in a lot of different causes. And you're not just a football player, and you've proven that now that you made the NFL. You've actually donated your time to some other things. And before we wrap this up, I thought it's appropriate to ask you about the rainbow fish first before we leave.
Sure. Yeah. I'm hoping that we don't have to listen to that. Thank you.
Okay. I had to talk about the rainbow fish.
Yeah. That was, on the same laptop right here. That was an opportunity for me to give back to the Cleveland community for reading.
That's awesome.
Johnny, I'll tell you what,
hey, Coach D, I got a question. Coach D.
What's up, baby?
Hey, Johnny, what high school did you go to?
Santa Margarita Catholic.
Do you know anyone who's ever had their jersey retired?
Yeah.
Who?
Carson Palmer. I think somebody named Coach Minna.
Oh,
Coach D.
Oh. Coach D, how come you never talk about you got your jersey retired,
he did
man?
too.
Yeah.
This guy got his jersey retired too. We're gonna talk about that. That's uncomfortable, bro.
Yeah, I was just kidding.
It's a completely arbitrary thing.
It's just
it's like offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year. They all get it. So honestly, there are some other guys who should have their jerseys retired. There should be more before mine.
You know what, man? It's about being a part of a team and to have the honor of being able to lead a bunch of really cool guys and to be in a position to receive something that abundantly cool. I mean, you know how it is, Johnny. I mean, to this day, like, you call your friends and they answer. So look, man, so grateful that you came. And I think Jamar hit the nail on the head. And he said, to be vested, I mean, it takes perseverance. It takes being able to dust yourself off. It takes grit, and it takes having a vision and to be able to be okay that vision can humble you and to be able to stick to it and to be able to honor it. And man, Jamar, I'm so glad that we do this on Vested, John. And Jamar and I are both men of faith, but we're here for everybody. We're vested in the idea of a better way. So it's fun to hear Jamar take his angle at a way that leaves it wide open. But we always, no matter how much we try to avoid it, Jamar, we always keep coming back to the same thing. We try to avoid it, and it's unavoidable. There's something bigger, man. There's a higher source, a creator, and it's out there. And right. we share this energy, and I'm grateful we got to share this time. I'd like to thank tech support. Johnny, I'd like to thank you.
Oh, come on.
Behind the
tech
screen
team.
Hold it down when you're not around. So, Jamar, I mean, why don't we wrap it up a little, ask him a question. Thank you very much, Johnny.
Oh, man, Johnny, thank you, brother. Thank you for your time. And Coach D, you know how much I love you, bro. And thank you, tech team. Always acknowledge you. And Vested community, thank you for being part of the journey. But just like brother said today, brother Johnny said today, be invested. That's the only way for us to accomplish our goal and our dream, especially in the world we're living in today. Today is March 18, 2021. There's a lot of adversity. There's a lot of challenge. There's a lot of setback. There's a lot of things that are saying no right now. But at the same time, if we want to reach that goal, reach that dream, achieve the greatness that we believe and we envision, the only way to do it is to keep going. There's going to be hurdles. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be injury. There's going to be temporary defeat. There's going to be pain. There's going to be hurt. But we got to get up and keep going. And as a vested community, that's how we achieve the goal. We get up. We persevere. We stay determined. And we get around other people like Brother Johnny who have that vibration and frequency who want to keep going. And that's how we're stronger together. But it doesn't matter what you want to do, whether it's football, business, being the most badass mom and dad, whatever it is. The question is, are you vested?